Yeah, I'll always be a metalhead. Nothing can take that away from me.
Right.
I mean, not jail, not people, not religion, not anything. I'll always be a metalhead, 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 metalhead. You know what?
You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Welcome, Great Metal Debate listeners. This is Brian coming at you with a new album review. Tonight I'm looking at the 16th studio album from Udo Dirkschneider entitled Steelfactory. And let me just say this. There's nothing on Udo Dirkschneider's 16th studio album Steelfactory with his namesake band Udo that I can't get from the first 15 Udo albums. And I freaking love it. Now, admittedly, there were times when I felt a little like I'd accidentally walked in while Peepaw was jerking off, but at least he was headbanging while he was doing it. I have to appreciate a man at the age of 66 who could peel the skin off your scrotal sack with one of his patented screams. Or is it a growl, or a howl, or a groan, or just your everyday gargling of sand and glass? Whatever it is, it freaking works. Udo's been at this for a very, very long time, starting in '79 with Accept. His ever-present pseudo-sexual growl / moan is prevalent throughout Steelfactory. And it reminds us to have some freaking respect. After all, it's Udo Dirkschneider we're talking about. Udo on this particular album is made up of the legend himself, Udo Dirkschneider, on vocals, Andre Smirnoff and Bill Hudson on guitar, Fitty Weinhold, and you gotta love that name, on bass, and then the heir apparent son, Sven Dirkschneider, on drums. And they put together an incredible album. There are songs that lash out with the proverbial guitar assault so often associated with Udo, as well as Accept. And if you're a fan of songs like Network Nightmare or Losers and Winners, then you're going to love the cuts like Eraser or the opening salvo, Tongue Reaper. Smirnoff and Hudson are hitting on all cylinders with both riffage and rippage. Dudes can play some classic power metal, and we love being along for the ride, with wave after wave of super speed chords spiced with crest after crest of over-the-top solos. Now don't worry, for those of you that love the classic power ballads, there's also those songs like Warrior, Bound to Fail, and I Give As Good As I Get. You're going to love the Steelfactory cuts, which carry on that Udo-ish tradition. Keeper of My Soul and One Heart, One Soul make me want to stand and march around the bedroom while slashing everything I own in the name of some Teutonic cause that requires the virtue of a knight and the violence of a bull seeing red. Now, there are variances in the nuance of the album, and the newness of the music carries it a ways for me. But it's a lot like much of Udo's repertoire. I spend a few brief moments wondering what the Germanic maniac metal god might sound like if he sang a Xandria song, adding operatic and symphonic elements to his sound. And then I wake up from that nightmare and appreciate what this music nostalgia buff loves about power metal. This album is metal as meant to be, which is the line I seem to want to vomit up every time I hear good metal. As I watch the new Steelfactory video for Rising High, I see all the youthful exuberance that surrounds Udo Dirkschneider, particularly his son Sven on the drums. And then I compare it to Udo, who spends the entire video standing in the middle of the staircase, one foot on the stair above the other, and it occurs to me that I don't want him to move because I'm afraid he might break a hip. And then I remember who I'm talking about. Dirkschneider's legend gets me to the party and listening to the record, and his voice keeps me there. I think Udo doesn't give a shit what I'm worried about, and if he wants, he'll jump down those stairs and break his hip. He's a metal cock-knocking, head-banging, fist-fighting son of a bitch who brings his particular flair of metal to everything he's done since Accept in 1979. At that moment on those stairs, he may be the baddest man on the planet. And he has certainly assailed the vocal masses to take his place among the greatest metal vocalists to walk the earth. Let's see how many of the power metal vocalists these days fare when they're 66 and making the same music they made almost 40 years ago. Do you think they'll get to make a video and just stand on the stairs while the camera swirls around their heads? I think not. Steelfactory is simple and straightforward with a classic style that's been seen with Udo since the 80s. So, I end with the same sentence I used when I began. With Steelfactory, Udo Dirkschneider gives me not much different than I can find on his first release, and I freaking love it.